Okay, great. Apologies for the technicalities we've been having, but you're most welcome to this webinar. My name is Shira Mukibi, and I'm Business Development Manager for BioInnovate. So we'll just have a very brief run through of this call, but first I would like to give a brief overview of BioInnovate, and then just briefly about the call, evaluation process, the core requirements, and then we will delve into the Q&A session. So you might have seen already our website, because most of you have been able to access the call through the website. So BioInnovate is a regional innovation-driven initiative or network stimulating the bioeconomy in Eastern Africa. And you will notice that we have underlined regional and innovation, because these are very important keywords for us as BioInnovate, because we work across 8 countries now. Our work is involved in all these countries at the same time, and we are focusing a lot on innovation, because we believe that when we use knowledge to add value to research, we will be able to create added, innovative value-added products and services for the society, and that is what we are focusing on. BioInnovate is implemented as a program of icipe, which is the International Center of Insect Physiology and Ecology, which is based in Nairobi, Kenya. That is where BioInnovate is also based. We are fully funded by the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency since way back in the 1990s, when BioInnovate started as BioAn to date. And we have worked with over 300 scientists and innovators from over 100 organizations. And these organizations are universities, research institutes, private companies, and also government agencies. So what we do is we support scientists to translate their intellectual assets, which are mainly biological-based ideas and inventions, translating those into value-added goods and services for practical usage in society. And so we support these scientists mainly through grants, and that is how we get our partners on board. So we work with these scientists in 3 ways. The first one being co-creation, where a scientist teams up with a private company to co-develop bio-based innovative, value-added products. Then the second way is through creation of new business prospects, which is mostly involving creation of new bio-based enterprises. And these are mainly driven by entrepreneurial scientists. So we support them through professional business incubation to be able to do that. And then finally, we also support innovation ecosystems. And why do we do that? Because we believe that where the environment where the scientists need to thrive also needs to be supported in terms of developing policies that are related to innovation, and also, within the institutions, but also nationally. So we support innovation ecosystems to enable the scientists and their innovations to thrive. So about the call is mainly intended for scientists at a university, research institute, and government agency to collaborate with their counterparts in the private sector to co-develop value-added bio-based goods and services, okay? We need to understand this, because this is the core for the call, okay? And then the 3 thematic areas you can read more in detail in the call guidelines are mainly 3. We are looking at value addition to agroproduce and other biological resources. And then secondly, biological waste conversion, and then also biologically based healthcare products. So again, the eligible countries are 8. We are looking at Burundi, DR Congo, Ethiopia, Kenya, Rwanda, South Sudan, Tanzania, and Uganda. And all these, we are going to support scientists that are working regionally in terms of implementing their work across all these countries, okay? And then the grant size, we are supporting up to $1 million, projects up to $1 million. That is the grant size. And the minimum per project partner is $200,000 for a duration of up to 3 years. So again, when it comes to the team composition, we are looking at a minimum of 3 members from 3 eligible countries. Okay, are you able to see now?
Yes, Shira, it's now good.
Apologies for that, but we will share the presentation again on the website. Okay, so moving on, when it comes to the I was explaining that we are looking at a minimum of 3 for each team, including the project leader from 3 eligible countries and a maximum of 5. So this is kind of like the arrangement. I've just missed one, which have a team of 4 from 3 countries. So with regard to the eligibility to the evaluation process, when we receive your concept note, it will be reviewed by the Program Management Office here at BioInnovate. And those that do not pass the completeness and eligibility checks will be disqualified at the first stage. And then we will move to the expert review. Your concept note, those that pass the eligibility checks will be reviewed by an expert group of up to 5 people. And then after shortlisting, then those that are shortlisted will be invited for full proposal development. And then during the process of review, the proposals will be reviewed by 2 to 3 experts per proposal. And then after that, the finalists, so the winners, will be selected by the BioInnovate Africa Program Advisory Committee. So this is briefly what will happen, because we operate a 2-stage process. We are at the first stage where we're asking you for concept notes, and then the full proposal will come in later. This is the criteria, and it is also included in the detailed code guidelines, but ideally there are just 6 areas. A well-articulated need that the solution will address, and then the expected impact, and so on and so forth. So with regard to the requirements, these are important documents that you should or must upload as part of your application. Your full completed concept note, which should be a maximum of 9 pages, and then proof of the legal status of the organization. This may include the certificate of registration and incorporation, statute, if it's a university, a gazette, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, your latest financial statement. And for that one, it should also be uploaded. But if it's not available, you can still upload a commitment to supply that in case your concept note is shortlisted. And then, of course, the signed letter of support, which shows the commitment from your organization to support your project, especially when it comes to matching fund, and then also a 2-page CV of each project partner. So finally, how to apply. We have the template for the concept note, which is also available in the detailed call guidelines. The editable version is there. And then you should upload your concept note through the online system. And the link is also provided on the website. And the deadline for receiving all concept notes is on the 19th of July, not later than a minute to midnight. The system will be able to show us the time upon which your concept note will be received, and those that are received beyond the deadline will automatically be disqualified. And just to finalize and just encourage you to read the call guidelines, because we are getting very frequent questions that are actually embedded within the detailed call guidelines. So we request that you read the guidelines in detail so that you can be able to develop your concept note accordingly. So I think with that, I give back to you, Valine, to now take us through the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you, Shira. We can start a question from, so far I'm just saying.
Valine, let me start here because I can see the first one. Is the promotion and value addition to neglected high value crops permitted? Yes, that is part of a value addition to agro-produce. So it should be fine. That is John Odipio. And then we have another one from, what is the minimum number of partners for a consortium? As mentioned, the minimum number is three per project team. And that is what you're calling a consortium, but each of these should be from 3 countries. And then, can we involve partners outside BioInnovate countries from North Africa, for example? Yes, you're free to do that. However, these will only participate as collaborators, and we have also clearly defined who a collaborator is in the detailed call guidelines. Ideally, they should be part of the team, but not as a core team. They should be listed in your concept note as not as co-applicants, but as collaborators. Their contribution should be very specific, what they are supposed to be doing. And then, okay.
There's another one. We are a team from Ethiopia, Kenya, and Uganda, developing a concept note. We are looking for partners from each countries. Okay, I think that's okay. And then my name is George. I'm just looking for the question. I will appreciate with the interested institution to team up in areas of biofertilizer development from crop waste or plants. Okay, so those are basically just statements. Shira, if you see any questions, kindly proceed.
Okay, so maybe just to encourage you, because I know you might be wondering whether we do, if you're looking for partners, you're free to find partners on your own. And I think that is the reason why you're including this in the chat. But please feel free to network with one another. If there are areas of interest, please, sidebar and give your contacts and exchange your contacts with the others so that you can be able to form a team if that is your interest. Okay, so there's another question, Valine, from Joseph Musemwa. Okay, I would like to ask if 2 team members among 3 can come from one country. No, because the guidelines, as I have indicated, we are looking at partners, minimum of 3 from at least 3 eligible countries. So all of you cannot come from one country. So it means that you need to reorganize yourselves and find partners in 2 extra countries, the eligible ones. I hope that kind of answers the question. Okay. Sure. The other is about, yes, Valine?
Can an individual scientist participate in more than one project? That's another question.
No, for this call, you're advised to only participate in one application, okay? In only one application. However, for future BioInnovate calls, not for this one, but for future calls, the same individual can apply to participate in a concept in another call, but not for this one. So please take note of that. You can only participate in one application. Yeah, however, okay. I would also like to add that we can also receive multiple applications from the same organization, provided these specific applicants are different and they're different projects, okay? Still the same rule applies. You should be in one application at a time. I hope that clarifies.
And then there's another question, Shira. Can the private sector be a team leader of the project?
Yes, and that is highly also encouraged. It's a very good one.
Okay, and then another one, is 15% value or cash for whole team, or is it for the whole team or is for each member?
The 15% is for each. It's for each member, the 15% matching fund, as indicated in the guidelines. but it's over and above the grant fund that the project team is asking for.
Okay, Shira. I can see we have also we have some participants who have raised their hands, so I'll allow a few of them. Irene, I've unmuted you, so kindly ask your question so that you can respond to it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shira. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
you're audible.
Okay, my question is, if we are developing 3 products, and these products, each team partner from 3 different countries is going to basically develop one of them, but this is one project. Is it possible, or I don't know, I need to expand on the partnership. If I am from maybe Uganda and we are 3 people on one product, then 3 people from another country on one product, and then 3 people on in one country on another product. So that makes us 9 people on the team, but from one organization. Then the 3 are from one organization. So when we were filling in the budget, it looked like every member has to put their budget. So is it a budget of the 9 people? It's a budget of the teams from the 3 different countries. I don't know if my question is clear.
Yes, it is clear, and thank you very much. I think what you should do, the budget should be from the 3 teams, not the members.
Okay.
So it should be the 3 organizations that should have the different budgets. So for instance, let's say you're having institution X in Uganda having 3 people. So the main person, the person, whoever is going to be leading, will be the person you list in the concept, and then one also from the other organization in country B, and then also the other. So the budget should be for the 3, each of the 3 organizations.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the 9 team members can appear in the project.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay.
They can still appear, yes, but we'll consider 3 organizations.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Irene. Thank you, Shira. So we'll go to our next speaker. In terms of the audience, I've unmuted you, Theonest, I think that's how you pronounce your name. Please ask your question. Speak up, please. We can't hear you well.
Are you hearing to me?
Yes, now we can hear you well.
Yeah, thank you for good presentation and the way you're moderating this whenever. Just I have got a question through presentation regarding how that project can be implemented through scientists. Even some of scientists, they don't have they are not registered. Even is, I can say, individual person just can't do that, even have a business in mind as the business ideas. Those ones they can even just applying after that during the selection. Just you can give a chance to complete those missing documents, just to have that kind of grant you are planning to give to those projects selected. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your question. As you have noticed, the rule is a scientist must be attached to an organization as an employee. So you could be attached to a university, a research institute, a government agency, or a private firm. So you must be attached to any of those as an employee. And the organization must be legally registered. It must be legally recognized within the eligible countries. And also the scientists must be implementing their work through that organization within the eligible 8 countries. So that is the rule. We cannot go outside of that, unfortunately. So please endeavor to be affiliated, even if it's a private company. If you're an employee of an existing company, that's fine. And that's what we are looking for. Thank you.
Thank you, Shira.
Okay, Shira, maybe if I go back to the chat, Grace Nakato is asking, hello, I may have missed this, but what is the total amount of money one can ask for, and can it be used for infrastructure, e.g. production and distribution machinery and equipments? Very good.
Okay, so the amount of the grant for a project team is up to $1 million. And for each partner in a team, the minimum is $200,000 US. And it can be used for, as you notice in the template, it can be used for infrastructure, it can be used for distribution. It depends on whatever you're working on. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Shira. And then another question before I go back to allowing the audience to ask by themselves. The statement of partners is not that clear on my side. When you mean 3, does it mean individual or organizations?
Okay, thank you for that question. As indicated in the detailed call, a partner refers to a scientist and the organization where they are attached. So that's a partner, okay? I hope that's clear. Then a team member or an individual team member is the scientist who is involved in the project. So I hope that kind of clears out. So a team member is the individual. And in fact, when you're filling in the application form, you will notice that we will ask you to list the project leader, list the team member, and within the team member part, there is a part for filling in the organization where the team member comes from. So I hope that's clear. So a partner is a scientist and the organization where they are affiliated to.
Thank you, Shira. Naburu is asking, we are a high social impact company with a particular interest in climate change using indigenous crops. Does this project qualify?
Yes, it qualifies. It qualifies because it's mostly looking at ways of addressing issues related to climate change, and that falls within the thematic areas of our work.
Okay, thank you, Shira. So we'll go back to those who have raised their hands. Sylvester, I've allowed you to talk. Please ask your question. Sylvester, are you there? I can see you're muted. Kindly unmute yourself.
So you can hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. Welcome.
So I have a question. Can a startup company which do not have audited financial statements, can it be a leader? And then the second question, does it also mean that each partner and collaborators should submit the administrative documents or only the applicants?
Okay, thank you so much for your question, Sylvester. For the startup company that doesn't have audited reports, please don't apply as the leader, because as you notice, the requirement is you must have the latest financial audited reports. It's one of the requirements. So that means they don't qualify. And then for the second question, can you come again?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I missed the second question.
Sylvester, you are muted. Kindly unmute yourself and clarify the second question.
I repeat the second question. So we have the applicants and the collaborators. Are they also, all of them, supposed to submit the administrative documents or only the applicants?
Okay, first of all, let's differentiate between a collaborator and a partner. We are talking about the applicant and the partners, right? So the administrative documents should be submitted by the applicant and the partners, okay? The collaborators don't need to submit any documentation because collaborators are not listed as part of the core team. If you understand what I mean. A collaborator is one who is outside of the eligible countries and is participating in the project, bringing on additional expertise or something. But for the partner, they are implementing the project within the region, and those are the ones within the eligible countries, okay? So those ones should and must submit also administrative documents as highlighted in the detailed call guidelines.
Thank you, Shira.
We could go through the chat, maybe.
Because I'd already allowed Vincent to speak. Vincent, please ask your question. Unmute yourself.
Okay, I hope you can hear me. Can you?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so my question is, let me say that I'll be working on a project to do with value addition. Must my partners or my colleagues from different countries be working on the same?
Yes, ideally your project should be shared across your partners. They could work on the same or a certain aspect of the project within the same thematic focus area.
Okay.
I hope that answers the question. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Shira, we can go back to the chats. I can see MBK is asking, thank you for your webinar. Is 1 million the maximum allowed grant size? Do you consider the current global inflation?
Yes, so $1 million is the maximum amount of the grant for the project team, okay? That is the maximum. And obviously, with regards to inflation, that will really come up as we implement. But ideally, the total grant amount available is $1 million.
Thank you, Shira. Farin has asked a question, not necessarily a question, but maybe something you'll need to address. I am based in Tanzania, looking for partners from DRC, Burundi, Rwanda, South Sudan, or Ethiopia. And then he or she has left the phone number there. So maybe just address the importance of them by themselves looking for their own partners and not depending on BioInnovate, because you got some questions like that to look for that, to assist them in terms of getting their partners.
Okay, thanks, Farin. We encourage everybody to find their own partners through their own existing networks. You could be based at a university or research institute or private company or government agency. So please use your networks that are already existing to find your own partners, because we do not impose partners upon you, or we do not suggest, because we do not know what you're working on, and we cannot be in position to do the matchmaking for you. So as I mentioned earlier, you're free to network. Even right now, I see people from Ethiopia, we see people from Uganda, we see people from South Sudan and so on. Feel free to get in touch, or maybe get their contacts, and feel free to engage with them and see where you can find areas of common interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Shira. That's clear. Gloria is.
Yes.
Shira, are you there?
Yes, can you hear
Sorry,
me?
we had a challenge. Yes, I can hear you now. We had a network challenge.
Okay.
So even
And I think we've lost any questions probably.
I think I can see one from my end. Maybe I can proceed. Is it possible to meet minimum requirement of country partners?
Yes, it's possible. As long as you get your partners from 3 of the eligible countries, yes, it's possible to meet the minimum requirement. Just make sure you have a partner from, if you're in Uganda, get a partner from maybe Tanzania, and then maybe another third country. They should be 3.
Thank you, Shira. Maybe we can go back to those who have raised their hands. I've allowed Salum to ask his question or her question. Please proceed.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, I just want to know whether now there are some regional organizations that are working across the African countries, and like us, Lemon Trust, we are in Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and Tanzania. So, is it possible, like, for these country branches to be as the partners, actually, since they have different experience and especially in implementing this kind of the projects? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your question. Remember what we included in the detailed call guidelines. We mentioned that a company or a partner, sorry, I mentioned a company, should be a partner organization should be independent, okay? So for your case, your organization is the same, although it has branches in the different countries. So you must get a minimum of 2 more organizations that are different from you and completely different, doing different kind of work. It could be a research institute, it could be a university for that matter, because you appear to be a private from the private sector. I hope it answers. Yeah.
Okay, we will go to Professor Ikechi. I've unmuted you. Please ask your question.
Yeah, thanks very much, Valin. Thank you, Shaira, if I'm correct with your name. Sorry about that if I made a mistake. I wanted to ask a question and clarification with respect to the number of institutions, because I understand that can a call have up to 10 persons or 5 persons, and then those 10 persons will be represented in the 3 organizations, because I understand that it's only 3 organizations that are supposed to apply for this. And those 3 organizations can be universities, can also be private sectors and, related organization. And also, you mentioned that those that are applying, if they're applying outside of Eastern African region, they should not be in the team. There should be, I really need your clarification on that, because I am in the forefront of this. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Thank you so much for your question. The first question about the institutions, what we really are looking for when it comes to the partners, now when it comes to the scientists and the organization, we are looking at a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 5. So when you're listing those in the application form, these are the people, the contact people from the specific organizations, from the different organizations that will be responsible for implementing or overseeing or coordinating the work at that specific organization. You may have all the other people in those organizations also participating, but at least you must list a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 5 in the application document. So we are saying, yes, the 10 people can participate in the project, but list for us the main, the minimum, the 3, okay? Let's say scientists. Let me just give an example. Let's say institution A, okay, has a scientist B. That should be listed in the application form. But at institution A, there might be another person C and D who are also participating in the same team. It's also acceptable for that. But what you list is what we are looking at as the minimum of 3 and the maximum of 5. Now, when it comes to the collaborators, we are saying collaborators are bringing specific expertise, or it could be some kind of contribution or some advice or technical guidance, you know, in a certain aspect of the project, okay? It's okay for them to participate. However, we are not going to recognize them as team members, okay? Because they're coming outside of the eligible countries for this call. They can participate in the project. And in fact, if your concept note is selected as among those that will be implemented, the collaborators from the other regions will not receive funds from the from BioInnovate. However, the funds that will, you know, be given to them will be through you, the partners that we've signed agreements with, to facilitate them to do a certain, maybe it could be transportation or maybe per diems or something like that, to facilitate them to be able to do a certain aspect of the activity in the project. I hope that clarifies.
Okay, thank you, Shira. We are now at 3:22, so we have about 8 minutes before the end of the webinar. If I go back to the chat, Goshu is asking if we have 3 projects from 3 countries, can we submit 3 of them or select one best and submit it to BioInnovate program?
I think that really depends on you to decide. If you have 3 projects, that's very good. But like I mentioned, you can only participate in one application. So you can choose one from the 3 and then you submit it to BioInnovate. But please follow the rules. Your team should be a minimum of 3, maximum of 5 participating in the project team. And yeah, the thematic focus areas are also clear, so it should be okay.
Okay, and then there's a question here from Mesfin. Is it a must that collaborators be from a non-eligible country? What about those from the eligible countries? I'll repeat that question again. Is it a must that collaborators be from non-eligible countries? What about those from the eligible ones?
Well, it depends on how you describe the collaborator and what they are bringing to the project, okay? If you feel that, for instance, a certain collaborator will be very, very critical to implement a certain aspect of your work, you can bring them on board either as a collaborator if it's for short term, or if you think they are going to be contribute significantly, then maybe you can decide to bring them on as a partner, okay? That entirely depends on you. But like we mentioned, a collaborator, for us, we consider them as those that are, you know, outside of the eligible, but bringing a certain aspect to the project, contributing a certain aspect of, you know, bringing expertise or whatever to the project, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
from the eligible country, like I said, it can also, yeah, they can also consider them as a collaborator. It's also okay.
Okay, thank you, Shira. Beatrice, I've allowed you to to ask your question. But before we go to your question, Shira, Peter is asking, is more than one institution from one country allowed along as I think it's along, as long as the number 5 is not exceeded for the call in the 3 countries?
Yes, that's acceptable. As long as you're within the minimum of 3 and maximum of 5 rule, it's still okay. You can even have 2 institutions from the same country, 2 from another country, and 1 from another country. Okay, those are 3 different countries, but more than 1 institution in 1 country. So it's okay.
Okay, Beatrice, go ahead.
Okay.
You can ask.
Thank you very much. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation and all the clarification. I'm wondering, when you talk about scientists, are you specifically talking about researchers when you say that team leader in the 3 countries? And because when you talk about scientists, I'm an extension worker, I'm an agriculturist, I'm an animal scientist, and I consider myself a scientist. And then, so do you have to have like those scientists leading in the 3 countries? And what particular scientists are you talking about? From from what you've been saying, it looks like as if it is researchers. Then 2, when you have maybe one institution, because we've been thinking about a strong institution, and at first we were thinking about maybe in one country a research, and then a farm organization to bring in farmers, and then a private sector. But now I can see we have to reorganize. You are insisting that it has to be 3 countries. But then in those 3 countries, can we have the what you're calling the scientists in one country, and then in another country it can be maybe a private sector or an extension organization? I don't know.
Okay, thank you very much, Beatrice. First of all, we have defined who a scientist is in the detailed call guidelines. I hope you are able to see that. But what we refer to as a scientist is an individual who is qualified and is practicing in either natural sciences, engineering sciences, medicine. It can be business, okay? Even we have business people, as we refer to them also as scientists. It could be social science, you know, any of those fields. That is who we call a scientist. You can be practicing either as a practitioner, or you could be a researcher or a business professional, okay? So that is the broad definition of who a scientist is to us. So when it comes now to the institutions, now it depends on who is doing what. But what we want is a scientist who is based at a research institute, university or government agency. Your team should team up with a scientist or business professional or business practitioner who is based in a private company. That is the bottom line. So for your case, if you have a scientist from a university in country A, organization A, then they can you can team up with a private company in the same country or another country, and then maybe another scientist from another country, something like that. I don't know if that is a bit clear.
Yeah, it's not really, because at first our concept was on something which is of a national concern. I will talk to the team whether we can get the partners from another country, but it was a national concern, and it was bringing together all the level from scientists that the research, and then coming to the private sector, and then to the farmer organization. But now it looks like maybe we just don't have to continue putting a lot of effort in it if we can't get, because I don't know whether they will have that idea which we have, and I don't know. It's like Wow. I'll
Yeah,
talk to that. Maybe we have to stop here.
No, you don't have to stop. Please be encouraged, because in Eastern Africa, we face more or less the same challenge. And remember, one of the criteria for the call, for the evaluation process, is the regionality aspect, okay? So just broaden that and look at another country that is facing a similar challenge and try to identify a partner that you could work along with. Okay.
Yeah, other partners can be identified, but it means like if we've been having a very strong, like the research very strong, and then the private sector person coming in. Now, when we go to another country to look for a private sector who doesn't have this vision we have, like we have to first work on either or some organization or another scientist to really get into our vision. It kind of like, because you cannot have two people leading from the same country, it has to be from the different country. I think that's where getting the partners in the different countries is okay, but having the lead persons from these other countries is where I find we might have to, because you have to first sell the idea and the vision, and then people come in and then they really, so.
Right, so, and that's why we've given enough time for the call, because we published it on the 25th of May, and we expect the final submission by 19th July. We want you to be able to find suitable partners that you can really work with, sell your idea right now, find people that you can be able to have good chemistry, or find people with the same vision, and see how you can be able to work together. Yeah.
Shira, we are way past time. We are at 3:32. I believe we have addressed as many questions as we could, and I've seen my colleague Julius and Abel were also addressing some questions on the chat. So friends and partners, because of time, we are going to end this webinar, but we be on the lookout for the BioInnovate Africa website, because we are going to collect all the questions on the chat box and produce a question and answer information on the website from this webinar. We will also be reviewing the webinar afterwards, and then possibly post it on the BioInnovate Africa YouTube, just for your reference. But in case your questions have not been addressed fully, you're free to send us an email on the BioInnovate Africa email. So without much ado, I would like to end this meeting. I thank my colleagues, Shira, Abel, Julius, Marianne, and the rest. And we thank you all for joining this webinar and sharing your questions with us. We wish you all the best and have a good day or evening wherever you are. Bye.